As I began writing my newspaper article, memories were formed in my mind. Yes, I remember seeing those innocent citizens dead in the streets. I remember seeing hundreds of thousands of students surrounding the goddess of democracy in the square. It was a once-in-a-lifetime experience to see this group, this large, support freedom and equality in one place. I was originally sent to Beijing to report on Mikhail S. Gorbachev's visit with Deng Xiaoping. I expected that the two most powerful leaders in the world would make big news. Once I arrived to the scene, I realized the true story that was taking place in the streets, not the People's Hall. I could not miss this opportunity. I changed my report from Gorbachev's visit to the protest occurring in Tiananmen Square. The government was able to retrieve most of my entries, but I kept a select few. May 11th, 1989. This is my first time in communist China. I've never seen the beauties this country has to offer. Sadly, when I arrived to the country, it was in turmoil. Located in the front of the Forbidden City was a protest. The protest mainly included the college students from Beijing and other provinces. I knew my stay here was not focused on the topic, but I could not resist. I wanted to know more about the chain of events that led to the protest. I interviewed many students that received many different responses. Some wanted to secede from communism, others wanted an open economy. All of the protesters did have one common goal. They wanted freedom of speech and press. I asked some of the students what transpired to make this protest occur. The answer was simple. Hu Xiaobang, the former General Secretary of China, was a reformist who wanted the same principle as many of the students. He was forced to retire by many of the elder members of the Chinese government. They considered Hu a threat to communism. Shortly after Hu's retirement, he suffered a heart attack and passed away just a couple weeks ago in April. As a former member of the China's political party, he was supposed to receive a state burial. However, many of the government officials were not going to give him this treatment. When students heard about this, they were outraged. This is where the protest began. Students lined Beijing streets and Tiananmen Square, pleading that Hu Yaobang received a proper burial. After a couple of days of protest, Hu received a state burial, and all was well again, or so the government thought. Almost immediately after the burial, Deng Xiaoping was found talking to the protest in a newspaper editorial. I found the editorial and decided to keep some of the excerpts from the article. Deng states in his article that,
"We do not fear spilling blood, and we do not fear international reaction."
Deng was also found calling the protest Dongluan, meaning turmoil or rioting. They are not bitter for Hu Yaobang. They are unwilling to let Deng win this battle. They cannot back down and prove to Deng that he was right. But if the protest continues, lives will be lost. They are stuck in a lose-lose situation. May 20th, 1989. Students realized the most drastic steps were needed. They started a hunger strike about a week ago. Moaning of starvation can be heard from miles away. With the People's Hall located across the street from the square, government officials hear the students' cries for help. Deng Xiaoping attacks the hunger strike with a martial law. The heartless man continues to defy freedom of speech while students wither away to nothing. The sight of Beijing and Tiananmen Square is disgusting on many levels. Filth litters the ground of the square as hundreds of thousands of protesters stay there day and night. Businesses are closing down and they lose workers to the protest. Food and drink stands are helping with the protest by supplying students with food and even shelter during the night. Current General Secretary Zhao Ziyang will be forced to retire because of this situation. As his last move in office, he gave the students in Tiananmen Square a surprise visit a couple of days ago. Here are some quotes from the speech given while he was there.
"We are sorry. You talk about us, criticize us. It is all necessary. The reason that I came here is not to ask you for forgive us. All I want to say is that students are getting very weak. You are still young. There are many days yet to come. You must live healthy and see the day when China accomplishes the 4 modernizations."
With this defiant speech against China's politics, I'm sure that Zhao's days are numbered. June 3rd, 1989. The army has arrived. It's the 27th and 20th Division of the People's Liberation Army. Most of these soldiers are from distant provinces. This is a very strategic move by the government. Most of the soldiers are located from Beijing and other big cities, understand the protest and what it means to their nation. These country folks will not. Most Most of the soldiers are ordered not to shoot protesters. In fact, most were not even given guns to do so. Beijing is under mass chaos. Everyone is on their toes, ready for an attack. I'm afraid for my life. These soldiers will kill foreigners first. I have been ordered to stay in my room until everything is settled. I cannot wait that long. I can see the end of this protest is coming to a close very quickly. Soldiers can be found surrounding all the streets going into and out of the city. I will find an escape route within the next couple of days. June 11th, 1989. I made it safely out of the dump. The night of June 3rd brought thousands of soldiers flooding the city. I did not move quickly enough to escape the city before an attack. The soldiers disobeyed orders. They fired at will. The official report in China stated that they killed only a couple hundred. That's a gross understatement. I could count more than 500 dead in my hotel window. Not all of them were protesters. Women and children also lay dead in the streets. From my window, I could also see the tank man. This fellow was an average-sized man. He stood in front of multiple tanks. They say he was a part of Falun Gong. The image will never leave my mind. He was so calm and serene against all of the bloodshed. I'm sure he's in jail now. The government sent the ones that they did not kill to prison. It is ruthless how they treat everyone in the city that day. Media was also convicted and some were sent to jail. Others were forced to give up any documentation of the massacre. I was the lucky one. Somehow, I slipped through the security checkpoints and got out of that godforsaken town. I will make sure that people know what happened in the city on June 4th, 1989. China cannot hide this mass execution from the world.